morning, guys. It is a warm, cozy morning over here in my tiny house by Nyth. Fire is going. It is not warm and cozy at all outside. I think that thermometer is reading a little higher than the actual temperature. Since the sun kind of hits the porch here, I should move it to a different spot. I've just never gotten around to it. But I think it was in the low single digits overnight before the sun came up. My birdies are enjoying their feeder there. I love watching them all flit back and forth. Anyway, the world just sparkles when it is this cold. I don't know how well the camera will pick up the hoarfrost on everything with the sunlight coming through there a little bit. It just glows. The air actually glitters when it's cold. It's one of my favorite things about living somewhere like this. I don't know if you can see it, but the you know, just any little bits of moisture in there are frozen and they glitter. The little bit of snow that I have left, you can see a bunch of squirrel tracks, a bunch of my tracks, is it's probably at least a week old now with no new snow. And because of the very cold temps, it's been quite a few days now, it hasn't gotten above freezing. You can see how the moisture is kind of evaporated out of the snowpack and then refrozen as hoarfrost on top of it. So now it's a really grainy snow. You can kind of hear it. It doesn't stick to the ground anymore. And you can see all those pretty recrystallized flakes on top. So I'm just going to take a little walk around here this morning. Not much going on there. You can see the one spot where the sunlight touches the roof through the trees. Melted the frost off of that. And yeah, it's really odd that we don't have more snow at this time of year, but it's certainly cold enough. There's where a little fox came and visited me a few days. His tracks are kind of frosted in now, but the garden is all obviously frozen. And I just like to take a walk around here and see what is going on. Look back at the house there. And I'm gonna just head down the hill here and see what this creek below my place is doing. When it gets really cold, it tends to have a problem with freezing up from the bottom. Instead of freezing a layer of ice over the top of the creek with water running underneath it, you get ice directly on the ground and some on top, but eventually that joins and then you get the creek running. Oh, looks like maybe a coyote down here. You get the water running above all of that ice, which can continue to build depending on the weather for the winter. Last winter, just downstream of my place, a few of my neighbors ended up having to get excavators in to yank chunks of ice out of the creek because it was flowing. The water flowing over the ice was above the bridge and threatening some homes. So hopefully it doesn't happen this year, but it's working on it if the weather pattern stays the same. So you can see parts of it there frozen solid. Here you've got a waterfall that is simply falling over the ice. There's no rock or anything there creating that. You've got an ice dam forcing water through that one hole and one little opening. Another opening here. I'm just coming on up here. This is about where getting up to almost where I pump water from for the garden in the summer, but there's another hole. That is again an ice dam that's flowing over there. You kind of see the cool frost layers on top of the ice, again kind of like the snowpack where it's broken and cracked and evaporated and refrozen. I do think the ice is very pretty, even though it could be very destructive. That's looking on up the creek. Well, let's see what this ends up doing through time. It certainly is not, in case you're worried about that, going to threaten my house because of the big hill that I live up. And so that is not going to be an issue for me, but possibly for some downstream people. Oh, here's another good example that maybe we can pick up of the hoarfrost crystals on top of the snowpack. Ice and snow are just so pretty and fascinating to me. I love when I get to look out the window or go outside in the morning and the whole world just sparkles. Even though it's cold and inconvenient for some things, it makes me very glad that I have fur boots and heavy wool pants and all of that. But it's just so pretty when you got winter areas that are more rainy and gray. I do find that kind of depressing, but when things are sparkling and white, you can hear the snow crystals under my boots and tell that the whole snowpack has gone grainy. Everything's sparkly and white. It just makes me feel much more cheerful and is not depressing like the rain. Some of my giant wood chip pile I've got access to from some local tree trimmers. I don't have any lack of access to wood chips. Go back over here to the creek so I can see what it's doing here. There's a big stretch here that's frozen solid. Looks like it would probably be solid enough to walk on, but I'm not going to try it. I'd hate to go through that. But upstream you can see where the little ice waterfalls. Again, there's in the summer that's just flowing flat. There is no structure under there at all creating those layers. That's just the ice blocks. But it sounds pretty. Makes a pretty little waterfall. Yeah, this stretch is all completely frozen solid. A pretty good long ways there without another open hole. Every day that we get that is another one where the temperature doesn't get above freezing. This ice does get thicker and more of the holes close up. Got down to another little hole. You can see some of the water flowing through there, and then you can see another big dam it's created. That one's like 2 feet high, but it's flowing a little bit under and a little bit over. But I just like to take a look around and make sure I know what's going on in all the surroundings around me. Plus they're pretty. You can check that out. That is all ice. So we'll see if we get any temperatures that warm up enough to melt this back out at the top and or underneath and let the water flow normally. But the way it's going right now, it looks to me like there's the bridge that comes into my lane. Looks to me like might be headed for another year where the creek is way over its banks because everything under there is frozen solid. More glittery crystallized snow here through the grass, but there's just not much of it. And I'm going to come back up to my house from the opposite direction I came down. This is the lane I drive up. It is after my last walk I did a few weeks ago, that one evening when I had to walk around because this was all muddy. You can see a little bit of the ruts left in it. This is frozen rock hard as well, of course, now, so driving on it is no problem at all. And it usually stays that way all winter, but I do get a couple weeks in the spring and fall when, because it is just a dirt lane and because of the hill and everything, it gets very muddy and is not drivable. But that should not be a problem again until next spring. And the sun is out today, so it might warm up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to get above freezing. I'm coming back up to my house. Those barrels I use to keep firewood and ashes from the stove handy for if it's at night or really cold or whatever and I don't want to go the whole way out to my wood pile. Try to keep these full so I can grab just a few chunks of firewood and not have to walk over there in case it's really snowing or whatever else. Come back inside here. Oh man, it's warm and cozy. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to tell you guys or show you that I forgot is after my video about my stove and oven, I actually don't have one right now. This is the hole where it was. And one of you amazing followers of my channel watched my video and said, I'll buy that stove if you want to get rid of it. And so he lives semi-local to me, drove a few hours over here last 2 days ago now, 3 days ago, picked up the stove, and I was able to order a new one that is the model I would prefer to have with a battery ignition. So my problem with power draw in my oven is now solved thanks to my awesome followers, one in particular, and I've got a hole in my kitchen right now, so any heating up of things I'm going to do is going to have to be on the wood stove right now, which is fine, and I've got a new stove in the mail, which I'm excited about. That's all for this morning. Have a great day, guys. Now the sun's out a little brighter and I can see the sparkles in the air. I don't know if the camera will pick up that or not, but the air just looks like it's full of diamonds. Thanks for watching, folks. If you're interested in more info on my off-grid tiny house life, check out some of my other videos here. And if you like what you're seeing, click the little picture of my house to subscribe and then hit the little bell so YouTube actually notifies you every time there's a new video available. See y'all next time.